22 young people came together to create this documentary to highlight three vital issues that need attention in our society today, to enable the necessary authorities to make the best possible solution. We are launching this documentary in October because it is the month with vital dates that raise awareness on many of the topical issues being discussed. For example, 10th to 17th of October is Hate Crime Awareness Week, 24th of October is United Nations Day, and overall this month celebrates Black History.
Great Britain is a country that has changed dramatically over the past couple hundred of years. It's a place that has revolutionized, industrialized, it's changed the lives of its people, improved their lives. It's a place that has given a platform to so many people from so many different places to come together, interact, socialize, and improve each other ultimately. And I believe that it's a country that will continue to do those things, a country that will continue to go by those principles. However, there's a lot of struggles that different communities within this country have to go through. Today, we'd like to single out those communities and help people to understand what they're going through. We believe that if people are educated better on what other people are going through, then we can work together better to get through these issues. So today we're going to start with hate crime, which is an eminent issue nowadays. We've decided to begin by showcasing racism and exploring its intergenerational impact.
This week we're focusing on the children.
And there he goes again.
Excuse me?
It's just, as far as I know, we're supposed to be equal here. Yet you take charge on every project.
That's true.
Well, I am the most experienced person here, so it only makes complete sense.
By a couple of weeks, yes. But no, it goes deeper than that. It's the same with all you people. You think you own this country, and therefore anyone who comes to it is inferior.
Sorry, but did I ever say that?
No, your actions did.
Honestly, don't think like that, never have done. We're all created equal, no matter where you're from. However, it does feel like certain people come into this country thinking they can behave however they like. Then, they play the race card whenever they get called out.
Behaviour like what? I'm familiar.
Rowdiness, violence, drug abuse, all manner of gang-related things. All caused by you lot.
I think that you're forgetting that all those are problems caused by people from all different countries, including your own. Well, you guys really love drinking and smoking, don't you?
Wait, could you repeat that? Couldn't quite hear what you were talking about. Was it maths or curry?
Both, probably.
Oh, shush. You people are just ignorant racists.
And you people are just greedy.
Greedy? Try lazy.
What you've just witnessed shouldn't be a shock to you, as unfortunately racism in a workplace is very common. This mentality can grow along with you and can be the root to many other problems.
These are the conversations happening every day at the workplace and in our homes. Unfortunately, people don't come together to talk about their true feelings and sensitivities about racism. Instead, they just point fingers and put the blame on other races about who's actually responsible for the problems in our society today. We are now going to see a video from young people about what they think about racism.
Today you'll be starting a project on diversity in different cultures. Choose a culture and carry out research on it. You'll be working in groups of 3 to put together a presentation to show the class.
So what culture should we do then?
Definitely Black history.
We always learn about Black history. There's literally a whole month on it.
Who cares about it? It's in the past.
The reason we learn about Black history is so that the same mistakes aren't made again.
So what do you suggest then?
British culture, innit?
What? Fish, chips and beer? All you did is colonise everywhere. Your culture is basically stealing wealth from other countries.
My point exactly. No one here seems to know what British culture is all about.
How about India?
All we were talking about is curry then.
India is not just about curry. There are lots of different religions and so many different festivals to learn about.
You'll take over this project because you Indians are all sweats at school and you just want straight A's.
Just because our parents want the best for us doesn't mean we're sweats. At least we don't go out on the streets and smoke and drink all night.
Who says I don't want to make a good living? You can't just say that we're all like that.
Yeah, you don't know all of our stories.
Half the jobs in the future will be taken by immigrants anyway.
Immigrants come to England to seek refuge and make a better life for themselves and their families. They aren't taking jobs just because they earned them. Sadly, in today's day and age, racism through stereotyping can happen in school. There have been many accounts of it happening between students, students to teacher, or even teachers to students. Racism is learnt through the ignorance of people that they look up to, such as family members, friends, or even teachers. It also happens when people are uneducated about others' cultures, ethnicities, and backgrounds.
Now we're going to move on and talk to Dante. He's going to talk to us about the problems that come with being disabled.
Hi, I'm Nyla, and today I'm here to interview Dante on what his disability is and how it has affected him. So, what is your disability?
My disability is mild autism, and it's where, when it comes to processing things, compared to a normal person, it takes me a bit longer to do something like that.
So, how has it affected you in a public environment?
It's made me feel more like an outsider when it comes to having a disability, because especially in school, I was put into some special needs sort of form, and from there, it was like people would see you as like abnormal. They wouldn't see you as normal. They would think you're some different kind of person who doesn't fit in. So they would just try take the mick out of you and things like that. And to face all of it, it was really unfortunate. And for me as a person, it just made me like doubt myself just because of what I had.
Thank you.
Next up, homophobia. It's a sensitive issue, and we have a man here called Abraham who's going to talk to us about it.
Hello, my name is Dante, and today I'm going to be interviewing Abraham, who will be answering a few questions related to homophobia. So my first question for you, Abraham, is what do you class yourself as when it comes to sexuality?
Actually, I'm gay. I've been like this since I was born, and I grew in a society where we've been persecuted for who we are. So I'm happy to be here today to express myself to the world and the community.
It was enlightening hearing from Abraham. Now we're going to move on to Shabana and Daisy. They're going to talk to us about sexism.
Have you experienced sexism?
Yes, I have. It was in my teens that I realized that sexism is not a good thing because it really limits one from doing or achieving the best that they can.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad did it affect you when receiving those comments?
Okay. Well, if 10 being the worst, that means I'll say 8 because it really, you have to think about why it is, that women are not allowed to do what they want to do, but are being prevented from a very young age. So I'll say 8.
What changes would you like to see happen in this type of community?
Basically, I think the changing has to begin from the time a child is born, and especially the male children have to be trained that they are supposed to treat everyone equally, and there is no job there is no job justification, or there is no division of labor like that. Every task has to be done by both the sexes, and I think that's where the beginning has to begin. It is to be right now. If we talk how it can change, people need to be trained. It's all about the mind, People have to think in a different way, and people have to understand that when we talk of equality, it is equal in every sense of the job. So the training needs to begin from the childhood, and right now you need to just change the mentality of how people think.
Hearing from those two was very, very refreshing. Now we're going to move on and we're going to talk about the subject of religion.
Religious persecution takes place all over England. The two main religions that face this is Judaism and Islam. For example, a peer at school once told me that she feels threatened to come to school as somebody once asked her, "How's ISIS?" This is a very common occurrence in these two religions. If you ever feel frightened or scared, please contact 999.
Now we're going to move on and we're going to talk about the problem of reporting hate crimes, which is something we all need to know how to do.
Okay. Hi. If someone is the victim of a hate crime, how do they report it, and how long does it normally take for them to see any response?
Okay. Well, first of all, hate crime is really, really important. So we give it what we call a golden service within West Midlands Police. We take all crimes of hate crime really, really seriously. So there's different ways you can report that, either by the telephone, be it 999 or by 101, or through a third party. There's online recording as well. So that obviously that comes into the police service, West Midlands Police, and we deal with it as soon as possible. It depends again the nature and context in terms of what that looks like. But just to give you some reassurance, we provide what I class as a golden service in terms of the hate crime, in terms of what happens to the individual. So the injured person, if you like, or the victim will get a good level of service from the police, because it's really, really important to us.
Hello again. Now that we've covered that, we're going to move on to talk about the sad instance of COVID-19. It's taken a lot of lives, and we need to take a minute to honestly honor the people who did lose their lives.
How have you personally been impacted by COVID-19?
I've been seriously impacted in terms of COVID itself, as I was myself. I had the virus, and I had small children in the house, so it was really, really hard for me in terms of health, where I had to look after the kids as well as looking after myself. It wasn't really, really easy. Work-wise, it's really impacted me in a bad way, because I had to take a very long leave from work. So that made it even harder financially, because I had to be on a non-paid leave.
How has COVID affected those seeking asylum and accommodation, like the homeless and refugees?
Yeah, the challenge of asylum seekers is something that is demystified in secrecy. It's one of the most hostile environments anybody can find his or herself. The manner in which asylum seekers are treated is more or less like a condemned.
The asylum seekers have got no recourse to public funds, and most of them here those in Coventry, they use the night shelter, which means they go there to sleep, and they roam the streets during the day. So when the lockdown kicked in, the council moved in and accommodated them. But unfortunately, they put them in accommodation where they can't access kitchens, so they had no meals. That's how they were affected. Yeah.
What has been the response of the public to this issue?
It's a bit different in the sense that we've seen people who are quite sympathizing with the asylum seekers because after they were moved into accommodation with no kitchens, we started making meals for them from home, and we didn't have any resources for that. And the general public came together and donated. Some of them donated to the cause. But then recently, I don't know whether you've seen in the news, there is the far right. They've come in and they're not happy. They think asylum seekers are having it all good because some of them are housed in hotels. So I think in their heads, they think hotel. When you think hotel, you think of the hospitality. That's the luxury. But it's not like that. They're actually suffering in there.
Hi, I'm Nyla, and I'm here to discuss how COVID-19 has affected all the different communities during this tough time. I'm here with Chrissy today to discuss how COVID-19 has affected the Black community.
Hi, I'm Chrissy. I'm one of the Black coordinating task force in Coventry, and I believe the Black communities are being affected through health. We are the key workers in the communities. We are the nurses and care workers and more. And in that way, we come into our houses and we affect our families and direct links. And in that way, it is disproportionate, and we are suffering in the community.
Right, thank you very much.
How has COVID-19 affected you when it comes to working from home?
My motivation and drive has really gone down. So that is how much it affected me personally, on personal level.
Scale of 1 to 10, how difficult has it been for you to deal with this pandemic?
I would say 8, going up to 9.
Why do you say that?
Because that aspect of my life, which is face-to-face interaction with the service users, home visit, seeing children at home, speaking to the parents, listening to children's wishes and feelings, to listen to their life experience at home, it has all changed. Assessments have to be done via virtual telephone conference. Meetings have to be done via telephone conference. It never be the same as face-to-face.
What is the aim of the social supermarket?
So the aim of the social supermarket is to obviously firstly support people who are experiencing food poverty, but it's about much more than that. It's about creating a community here that people can be part of. It's about welcoming people in, offering a shopping experience, which I'm really excited to show you, so that people that are struggling can have a really dignified experience and, you know, have a great experience here and come into the centre and feel part of a community and, you know, build up their confidence while they're using the social supermarket.
How do you think COVID-19 has impacted people in Coventry?
Well, it's had a significant impact on, you know, everybody across the UK, including Coventry, and it's had a particular impact on the clients that use this supermarket. People that are already struggling have found themselves in a situation where, you know, they're even more struggling financially, struggling to provide food for themselves. So I think it's had a significant impact on, you know, on the people of Coventry.
How have you personally been impacted by COVID-19?
In terms of COVID-19, it's been a very painful process. The last 6 months is something that we've never experienced. It has caused a lot of pain in all communities. People losing loved ones and with all the controls with bereavements and so on. Families that have been isolated and have needed support and so on. There are families in isolation that needed support with food parcels and so on. So COVID-19 is a very strange experience for us. And during this period, we've tried to work with all communities, deliver food parcels, ring people who are in isolation, give them some comfort and so on. We work with families that have lost loved ones so that we can help them with the process of bereaving and getting over the situation. It's been very, very difficult. It is a year that we all want to get behind us. However, taking on some of the discussions we had earlier, we want to learn from this year so that we actually prepare ourselves to not take life for granted.
So for me, quarantine has been maybe the best time of my life because I had the time and the chance to like discover who I was as a person and let go of the things that I didn't need and the people that I didn't need. And I describe it as an hour of air because it was free. I didn't have any stress, any homework, any studies to do. And I mean, even though I didn't do my exams, I don't take it as like I was lucky, but I had time to just focus on myself. And when you get that kind of time, you really realize who you are as a person and what you should appreciate. So I think there was also like the negative sides of it, but as me as a person, it was a good time.
See, life has been a lot more peaceful because it's been like, I don't have to stress about so many things. I can just focus on the things I love to do, which is like doing music and focusing on trying to master Minecraft. And also spend more time with the family. So just to check up on them and make sure everyone's getting on good. Alongside with that, learning new hobbies, keeping myself occupied, just like less stress, not having to stress about college, not having to stress about getting so many things done in a limited amount of time. Just like I can sit back, relax, have like mindful thoughts, and just think to myself what I need to do for the future and just plan ahead. So I would say it's been interesting and very peaceful.
COVID-19 was painful, but also eye-opening for me in the terms of that I wasn't able to speak to people that I normally speak to, and life lessons have been learned over the past couple of months. But overall, I think it was a good thing because it helped us as a community to slow down and look at personal issues like Black Lives Matter and to open up to the world about how we feel as people being oppressed and everything. And it was also good because we got to spend time with the people we don't normally get to spend time with, like the people in our houses, because we're always doing our own things and our moms are working. I'm always at school, so it was good for us to be able to slow down and have fun. But yeah.
I think it did sort of have an impact on all of us because we were told that we could be the people who are causing the disease to spread, kind of like a vector, and then we would be spreading it to the adults and everything. So it kind of put pressure on us not to go out or anything. So it was we had to be really strict on ourselves not to go out, and it kind of quarantine kind of had a negative impact on me because we had so much work to be done, and all the schoolwork that we had to do, we missed out on because of the pressure we were being put on to stay at home. So it was a lot more difficult for me, quarantine, and I feel like it would have been better if it just didn't happen for me.
It affected me kind of negatively because obviously, like any other sports, the longer you're not active competitively, the more it takes a toll. Like we see in even professional football, like players go out for months, even years on injury, and then they come back and then not as good as they used to. But luckily for me, I still had spaces to practice, and I kind of think I've even maybe improved. Like I've improved my game, my confidence has improved. My pressure, especially a big one, like because I've learned not to take the pressure to my head, not to take the things said to my head, like things like that, and okay.
Public Health would encourage you to download the NHS COVID-19 Test and Trace app, available for over 16s. The venue check-in function on there will later alert you if you've been in contact with anybody who develops coronavirus. There's a symptoms checker and a COVID test facility on there too. It will tell you what level of risk is in your area and give you advice and guidance on how to cope with that. Hands, face, space. We'd encourage you to wash your hands regularly for at least 20 seconds. Use hand sanitizer where possible. Cover your face and keep 2 meters apart when you're in proximity to other people. We know it's been a difficult time, and emotional well-being and mental health are really important. But for children and young people, we know that this has been a difficult time. There's a support service called Rise in Coventry. If you Google that, there's a lot of information on their website. There's also a I Need Help Now function, which will give you a phone number that's available 24 hours for support. For other people, there are the flu campaign that we're really trying to encourage people to get your flu injections, and there are flu injections available for children up to 11 and for an older age group, particularly over 65s. Check the criteria out to see if you qualify for that. Speak to your doctor or health setting, but that's really important as we approach the winter months. It's been a difficult time for a lot of people, and particularly we know this has been a challenging time for new students in the city. But what we'd say to everybody is if we can all follow the guidance, we will avoid a lockdown, particularly as we head towards Christmas.
That was Tracy from Public Health Coventry advising us how to keep safe during COVID-19.
you are aware, the month of October is where we come together as a community to celebrate Black History Month. But unfortunately, due to COVID-19, we cannot meet up. So we would like to tell you a little bit about Black history, current awareness around Black Lives Matter, and the future for young people in the Black community. Before all the noise about Black history, the Black people in Africa had their languages, religions, traditions, wealth, kings and queens, just like the Queen of England. But most of all, we had our identity. So how did this all change? Well, to summarize, the Europeans came to Africa to change our way of life. Some of our ancestors were taken into foreign lands, and they also stole our wealth. Through this, we lost our identity. We remember this month because whilst the world has moved on, the Black community in the UK still face oppression and discrimination. Precious will now take over to highlight the current issues relating to discrimination and Black Lives Matter.
As well as learning from history, we have a lot to learn from the present and what's going on right now in the world, because you're probably aware that recently there's been a big explosion of the Black Lives Matter movement. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today with Jerome. This is Jerome. He's from Black Conscious Coventry, and we're just going to be talking about young people in connection with Black Lives Matter. How do you think the energy that has been built up by the Black Lives Matter movement can be used to create more progress?
I think it can be used in a very positive way. I think we have to be very careful in the sense that, everybody was outraged, and we need to, and that's fantastic, and that's the first step. But the most important step is organisation. How do we turn that rage and frustration into organisation and to progress things forward? I think one of the key things that we can't do is we can't be lulled into thinking that, if the West Midlands Police, for example, want to come to speak to a Black organisation, and they talk about, we're going to try and hire more Black officers, we're going to look to see what our policies are around, BME communities, etc. Let's be very careful that we're not being used as a tool to legitimise a system that is very oppressive. Let's make sure that our organising is keyed in on understanding that the structure of the police is actually violent. It's there to protect property, it's there to protect capital, and overwhelmingly it's going to be used as a system of oppression towards Black and brown people.
Okay, so that was Jerome talking about the very painful and very real impact that police brutality, among other issues, have on young Black people in the UK. And even though that is a very painful reality that we are suffering through at the moment in the present, it's also important to look to the future and know that we do have potential and we're not going to be held back by the system that we find ourselves trapped in. So Abina is going to be talking about that now.
As well as taking action in the present, it's important to set up a platform for future generations. If we act now, we will reap the benefits of those acts later. Here are some examples of initiatives that aim to further the Black community. The first is Murky Books, which was established by Stormzy. It's a publication company that aims to support Black authors. The next is the Stormzy Scholarship. The Stormzy Scholarship offers a bursary to 2 Black undergraduates attending Cambridge University. Since Black people are often a minor cohort in such prestigious places, offering them both maintenance and tuition fees allows us to move to break down this barrier. Black Pound Day is a solution-based approach to address systemic racism in the UK and support the Black British economy through spending in Black-owned businesses to recycle wealth. Although these initiatives are all constructive, there is still a lot of work to be done, especially involving Black youth. There are several ventures we could take, such as establishing community centres in areas with large Black populations, or employing Black youth in Black-owned businesses. This will provide them with both the social and economic support that many don't have now, and will also promote social mobility within the Black community. The media often isn't fair to young people, especially young people from the Black community. However, there are so many young people out there who are championing worthy causes and making change happen. If you want to be a part of this, like I am, contact YV, and the details will be below.
We thank everyone who has come together to help create this documentary, from my fellow young colleagues, community members, organisations and our elected officials. Hopefully when we meet again next year, we will be discussing these in a peaceful, better and safer environment.
Be yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself. Only human, we bleed the same. Only human, don't be afraid. Only human, hope some relate. Be yourself, came from the grave. Only human, we bleed the same. Only human, don't be afraid. Only human, hope some relate. Be yourself, came from the grave. Some have disabilities, they try upset us cruelly. We suffered with purple hearts, sadly. I still find this world so crazy. Currently, this is bigger than me. Made different, not so generic. Save it, don't be sympathetic. Twisted, the stories are